There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of Savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to words of Professor Buitron.
Hope everybody's doing well. Thank God we're doing well on this end. We've had several questions come up. Like I said, we're always going to try to answer them the best possible knowledge that we can. And some of them deal with technique, some of them deal with history, some deal with professors, fights, fight tips, what have you. But this one in particular is dealing with bullying. And let me tell you, folks, it's out there, and it does not discriminate against any, how can I say, social boundary or any type of social class. Bullying exists, period. At one particular time, it was considered just prejudice. Now, when we were growing up, it was just called bullying. There was just one type. Now you can categorize it into 4 different types of bullying, but I'll get to that in a minute. Number one, I want to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel. We have a good steady following. It's been growing due to the fact that people like our content. A lot of people don't comment because we're actually worldwide. We have a lot of people that send messages and can you explain this from India, from France, from Italy, from Brussels, from Brazil, that sometimes they get intimidated of not talking or whatnot. Listen, folks, if you guys want to answer or a question or comment in any language, we'll get to you. If we can translate it. There's stuff for it. Sometimes our content, people they like it, they understand it. They don't want to subscribe to it for whatever reason. Because, in the martial arts, you have to understand there's a lot of jealousy. Oh, you studied with that one person. You saw this video. It should be that way. You continue learning. Learn the truth because there's a lot of stuff out there that's good. There's a lot of great instructors out there. There's a lot of ideas that are ongoing. There's people out there that you just relate to. Okay. And for those that have been following us, I want to thank you for that. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm Professor Paul Raymond Buitron, and I've been teaching since I was 18 years old. I'm 54. You guys can do that. Not only have I taught here in Laredo, Texas, where we're at is actually the first school of Savate here in the United States. And many claim it's the first school in the Western Hemisphere, which there's never been any others in any other country. There's other countries now that have Savate movements, which is beautiful and great. And helped aid those other countries. That's it. But for this physical school, not a club, physical school, one that taught the art for what it is, this was the first one. That's very well documented by the French Federation and the International Federation. But nonetheless, many people come to us, and the majority of youth, from kids to teenagers and adolescents, their parents bring them in for one specific reason, and that stands out the most. And that reason is bullying. Bullying is the reason why many kids, youngsters, join Savate, join the school. Okay. So we're going to touch base because it's become kind of like my pet peeve. And it's changed a lot into different angles. And in the last, I would say, 20 years, it really multiplied it, broken up in fractions. So we'll talk about that. Bullying. You can classify that into 4 different types. Okay, I'm talking about 4. You can talk about it as physical, verbal, social, and cyber. And each one of them has different patterns. And each one of them is about And then I'll talk to what you can do if you're being bullied in the different levels of our society now, or your age that you're at. Let's talk with physical bullying. Physical bullying can occur within a family setting. It can occur in school, and it can also occur in your work set environment. But physical bullying is more likely to prevail with youngsters, kids, probably for the age group of kindergarten, first grade, more or less. It kind of starts, and it can follow you through high school. That's the range that physical bullying, that intimidation, that pushing, that shoving, that type of stuff that occurs. Now, like I said, I'm going to tell you what should be done, what can be done to prevent it. What, if you understand what bullying is happening, what are the steps for you to do as a parent in school? You have to realize that most states have a type of bullying law, okay? And it gives it to the point that a lot of these laws are broad, but it gives, and I'll put them in the descriptions below for what you can do, especially here in Texas. I'm not going to go through all the 50 states, but what you can do to set that paper trail. Now you also have the next type of bullying, which is verbal. Verbal bullying can occur in the family setting, can occur in work setting, and then of course it occurs in the school setting. Okay. Verbal bullying is somebody in the family setting. Usually you get somebody, your father, your mom, or somebody's always degrading one family member or another, or they're degrading you. Whether you're worthless, you're never going to amount to anything. Person, one of the parents hits the bottle, and all of a sudden, instead of physically hitting somebody, they're just name calling and degrading and all that stuff. And a lot of people pass through that. And how can you stop that bullying when it occurs? You really can't do anything when you're a youngster inside the house, right? So you're going to look out for another outlet. Many youngsters rebel. Many youngsters, when it comes to time that they can spend more time outside, they're going to find something else to do so. Usually, martial arts helps, but usually when it's occurring in the family setting, it's very, very hard because the father or the mom was not going to bring the child to a class. Okay, so usually those kids are going to try to find something to do outside the house. And you will see those children spending more and more time away from the house setting because that type of verbal bullying is occurring at the home setting. Now, verbal bullying can occur in school as well. And verbal bullying is actually before physical bullying, okay? All right, verbal bullying usually starts by calling names until you kind of just say, hey, stop it. And then they come over there and physically are going to try to intimidate you, but it's going to escalate to the physical side. First it's going to be verbal, then physical. All right. In the home setting, it's kind of different. Usually it's still the same way, but you get that type of bullying. Now, social bullying. Social bullying is spreading gossip, being an ill tongue about somebody else. You have a group, a team, guess what? Somebody's going to have a party. Hey, let's not invite so and so. That's social bullying. That can occur in adolescence. That can occur all the way up to the workforce. Maybe they don't like you because you're doing better. Maybe you're doing a better job than somebody else. So they're going to have a get together, and everybody goes and, oh, we forgot to send you the invitation. The best way you can deal that, and I know it hurts some people. Everybody's gone through it. It hurts with some people. You know what you do? Forget about it. You don't need that type of crew to be hanging around with anybody. If it's happening at the workspace, understand that it's there, and understand that your work is just a stepping stone for you to go somewhere else. Okay, try to get as much positive nature out of that work or that job that you're having. See you later. You understand what I'm saying? and understand that every job that you have will be a stepping stone for you to get better in the future. Don't try to get that job and be there for the next 30 years, because I guarantee you the day that you retire, within a week, they'll have somebody replacing you. If you get sick, within a week, they'll have somebody replace you. Okay. And so understand that you can give your heart and everything to that profession. Make sure that it is the career that you want, but make sure that you have a stepping stone that you can go up with. But that's what social bullying is. Now let's go with cyberbullying. The first time I heard cyberbullying, we were doing a seminar for women here, because there was a huge, here in Laredo, there was a serial rapist about maybe 13 years ago, more or less. Okay. 13, 14 years ago. And there was that serial rapist that was here had raped something off of them, 27, 28 women. And we're having trouble. We were always doing self-defense seminars before that would occur, because the school, every second Sunday of the month, for many years, we used to do a free women's self-defense seminar from 4 to 6 o'clock in the evening. And believe me, we would have 10, 20 women. Sometimes we'll have the same woman be here month after month, year after year, for many years. But we stopped it because of COVID, and it's something that we're going to try to bring back again. But nonetheless, when that was going on, Curtis Silua from the Guardian Angels, a founder, came over, and we were talking to people and telling them about everything that's going on with the rapist, what to do, how should they report, be vigilant, all that good stuff. But when he was down here, he basically said one thing. He says, Paul, now we have a new type of bullying. It's called cyberbullying. I said, what's that? Well, social media had started. That's when social media had gone from MySpace on the way up, and from the Yahoo group chats and everywhere else. Now, what is social media? What is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying can be somebody makes a fake account and is always attacked. Somebody starts harassing you, making pictures and putting them in the net about you. Cyberbullying can become a sense of always talking ill about somebody else and fake gossip within the social media realm, cyber realm. And that occurs very often. Here in Laredo, I can think about several people that, especially when it's a political year, all of a sudden you have all these fake accounts pop up of people talking ill about the other candidates, talking ill about the other candidates' parents, and so on and so forth. And people are like real proud. Oh, did you see this fake profile? Well, it's a fake profile. You know, the person does not have the guts to put his name on it or call the other person out. So you have all these groups, and people hide behind groups, and they degrade somebody else, and they say, oh yeah, it's that group said it, but you're the one that's poisoning people that are out there. You know, those are people that don't have a life. Those are people that missed out on seeing that the sunset or a sunrise is beautiful, not acknowledging that, so they have to pick on somebody else. Those groups exist, but believe me, there's laws for that, and there's laws for all types of bullying, actually. Okay, the one that's kind of hard to get at is social bullying, because you really can't unless you start defaming or slandering somebody else, which that social bullying would eventually lead up to that, right? And there's laws for that as well. But there's some penal code laws on cyberbullying, bullying in school, physical and verbal bullying, which I'll put those Texas penal codes and those laws I'll put them in the descriptions for you to see it. And like I said, those are laws that are out there for you guys to kind of have an idea. Now, the question, this is for parents. What do you do if your child is being bullied? Let me tell you some things you need to look for. When your child doesn't want to go to school anymore, when your child is coming here with bruises from school, They left nice and neat, they come back with torn clothes. They left nice and neat, all of a sudden they come back with a black eye or bruises in the neck or bruises in the stomach, and they say, I fell. So-and-so's calling me names. Listen to your children. See, martial arts is great. It's going to teach you that. It's going to teach you how to defend yourself against a bully, but that's not the cure for bullying. The cure for bullying, and I say this and I tell the parents, it's you that need to stop it. And it's you that need to get up and do the paper trail, and you all have to follow up to make sure that it's not occurring anymore. Okay? This is what usually happens when somebody gets bullied. I get a phone call and he goes, how much are your classes? Give them the price and tell them what day the classes are. And they said, oh, okay. Is there anything cheaper? They'll even tell you there's any other schools cheaper. And once you start, and when they start asking for prices, I'll send them off to another school. Why? Because number one, we're not the cheapest and we're not the most expensive ones in town. We're just kind of in the middle, but we provide so much material, so much classes that none of the other schools can compete with us. Okay. Now, for the price that we have, right? But let's keep that aside. So parents look for the price, then they tell you what day is the classes. You tell them. Usually they're going to be talking about excuses. Well, I can't take them at that time. Can you teach them at this time? When you come down to it, when all these questions are being asked by parents and all these excuses are being formed by the parents, you'll realize that their child is being bullied. So why don't you bring them to class? Usually I tell parents, bring them to class, I'll make an evaluation. If your child is fit, we'll take them in. We'll talk about it. Why do I say child is fit? Not everybody's good for the martial arts. Some kids don't want to be here. Some kids do not want to do it. Okay, and parents want to force them. You don't want a kid that's going to be crying and sitting down. Believe me, I've had them. I've had them all the way up to the age 13 and 14-year-old. Okay, so keeping that aside, keeping bullying going with where bullying is coming from. The first thing or the parent tells you, my child is being bullied. Okay, what's going on? Well, I called the teacher and I told her off because my child was being bullied. And I said this, okay, you called the teacher. When was that? 3 weeks ago, but he's still being bullied. So I'm going to call her back up again. No. Parents. In fact, I'm going to end up having a course for what needs to happen for kids that are being bullied. And we're going to do it in social media. We're going to bring it out for parents to come inside and what parents need to do, the steps that need to be taken, because there's laws for that. You need to send an email after your phone conversation to the teacher and to the principal. If it happens again, you send it to the teacher, to the principal, and guess who else? One of the board members, one of the trustees. Okay? Happens again. Principal, trustee, superintendent, and another trustee. Understand? Now you have a problem. Now you have a paper trail. Because this can escalate, like I'm telling you. Verbal bullying will eventually become physical. Okay? A bully's main thing is confrontation, where I can confront you, belittle you, and leave you alone with nothing to happen. Right? That's what happens. Now, cyberbullying. Now let's change the thing. Let's go into cyber. Parents, a 14-year-old should not be on Instagram. It's an adult entertainment application. A 14-year-old should not be on Facebook. We see them all the time. 15, 16, 17-year-old. It says what? Adult entertainment. And guess what happens? You have all these people inside. Besides cyberbullying, you got pedophiles that are in there just preying on young minds. So be very vigilant, parents. That is your fault. If it's happening cyber, it's your fault. Now, let's change it around. Is there laws for cyberbullying? What's going on? Of course. There's just one that came out. Any media, it's called harassment. The person can be arrested for that. Okay, you have to have enough proof that it's been going on. There's fake profiles. Remember, the police can look at these profiles that are at and find out who is the one that's posting actually. So there's a lot of things that go on with that. Now, with four types of bullying, you also have 4 types of bullies. So now I'm going to talk about it. Okay, remember. And the types of bullies that you have is you have the type of bully that is calling you names, being very physical towards you. And when you stand up to him, he cowers. That type of bully exists. Okay? Then you have the type of bully that he starts pushing you around. You get into physical confrontation. You hit him a couple of times. And guess what happens to that bully? You stood up and you hit him a couple of times. Guy tried to fight back. He lost. He cowered. That's the end of the story. He stops bullying. And you have the other one. You hit him once, twice. He hits you once, twice. You guys get into a fight. He stands up and he starts fighting back. And he stops and he says, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with you. We're going to stop picking on you. And usually those bullies end up becoming the best friends in life or have the best respect for one another in life. Yeah. You're going to confront those 3. The one that you stand up to one, the person cowers and says, I don't want to deal with you. You and both get into a physical confrontation and you beat the other one, the person's going to stop. Or you both get into a confrontation and that bully might beat you. But guess what? He's going to respect you because you stood up and fought him. Okay? Those bullies exist. And those bullies one can manage. And those bullies are going to be around in life. You're going to run into them in school. You're going to run into them in college. You're going to run into them when you go to the bar scenes, when you're out there trying to court somebody. You're going to see that occur. And the worst type of bullying is that bullying that they're being bullied and you stand up and you tell them, hey, enough's enough. Not going to hack it anymore. They're just coward. And all of a sudden, they're still bullying you from the side. They go straight into a social bullying scenario. You have a business, don't go to that business, but you don't know where it's coming from. It might have been somebody that you had a confrontation with in high school. Might be a cousin that you told him not to. You might be somebody that came up and all of a sudden you tell them this and all of a sudden down the road you realize, oh, I didn't get that contract. That person was inside. I did not produce this event because you had that person back there socially bullying you into a scenario. Those are the worst ones. Believe me, folks, they're out to get you and they will never stop screwing with you and trying to damage you. Those are the worst type of bullies. The ones that you stood up for and cowered and they go behind your back and those go on for life. And believe me, everybody has. Okay, if you stood up for something, you got into confrontations, you're going to have a couple of those. And some of those in businesses, you might see it. You know what? All of a sudden, you did not get the title of a job that you wanted. And all of a sudden, later on, you go to a board meeting and you see that one person sitting down there shaking his head then you realize that little bully is still running around. Or you lose a contract, or you lose an event, or all of a sudden you can't have the event. Everything changes because that individual is still running around. Or you have those bullies that are out there Those are the worst ones, and they're plenty. And believe me, those that shy, the coward type bully I'm gonna call it, that coward type B bully is running around behind your back, causing havoc anytime they can. Sometimes you'll have it with review in your business page. All of a sudden you have I'm just throwing out the number, 60 great reviews, and all of a sudden you have 5 reviews, and you're like, who are these people that are below? That's where they get you. All right. So once more, there's 4 types of bullying, and there's 4 types of bullying. And that occurs all the time. So you stay safe, be safe, and like always, take care. If you like the content, like, share, post some stuff on the bottom if you have any other ideas. I'll put those things in the description. And we have a bunch of events coming of age here. We have our 33rd annual Passage of God that's going to be in June. For those of you all that want to find out what Savate is and the totality of it is, the Passage of God is the passing of the exams. A Sabateur tests once per year, and that's when everybody tests. It'll be 33 years, and this year we're going to bring in my trainer, my brother, who he used to train us at INSEP with the French team, Richard Sela, who was world champion. He was one of the best, we nicknamed him the boss, sang-froid, cold blood, because if you see him fight, he was just real cool, calm. All of a sudden, got knocked out. So we're going to have that. We're also going to have next weekend. We're going to have Let's Bring Back a Handshake. That's a fundraiser for USA Savate, and Gloves Off is going to be hosting that. It's going to be great because we're going to be talking about what has been lost with shaking somebody, and how important that is in today's society. Now, we're also going to have this year's stick fighting championship in April. Well, guess what? April. We're also doing another seminar. We're going out now. We're going back to do some seminars. Seminars that we have lined up. We have Dallas, we have Chicago, we have Brazil. We're going to be doing a tour in Brazil. Probably it's going to be in August. That's what I'm shooting for. And we're going to come back. We have some other events of the school, and we're looking at spreading the word to Malaysia as well next year. And we have a trip to Japan and of course Mexico. So stay tuned, be safe, like always, stay at peace.